Hello, everyone, and welcome to the third episode of Athlete to Athlete. I'm so glad you're here. This is the last episode that I have uploaded for my launch week. So if you're watching this, I'm assuming you've also watched the other two episodes that I have up. So thank you for binging. I really appreciate it. And I hope this is getting you excited for what is to come with this podcast, because I'm very excited for all the different episodes that I have in the works. But anyways, you could be binging, or you could have just found this episode on its own, because it is a pretty specific topic that I am excited about, and that is NIL. And it's very fitting because a couple weeks ago I got back from the Student Athlete NIL Summit. I'm currently wearing the sweatshirt that I got from that event if you're watching this on video. But I'll touch on that later. But really what this episode is going to be is me talking about all things NIL. I'm going to break down what NIL is, when it got started, what this means, everything about NIL, how you can grow in your NIL. So I think this will be a really informative video for people at any point really in their NIL journey, whether you are just getting started, maybe you're an incoming freshman who wants to learn what NIL is, or you're someone that's been doing it for a little bit but wants to get just a little bit more information so that they know how to grow, whatever it is. I'm a senior. I'm just going to start saying it. I'm a senior. I have had 3 years under my belt with this, really 2. I've been involved in NIL for about 2 years, and it's been going pretty well. I by no means am one of the most successful athletes in the NCAA with NIL, but as far as the University of Pittsburgh and that space, I'm one of the most successful, I would say. So all that to say is that I kind of know what I'm talking about, and also my experience with this NIL Summit, I learned even more things. So I think this will be a pretty informative episode, and NIL is a really cool thing that I think everyone should be taking advantage of. So that's why I wanted to make this one of the first episodes. 1, because I just recently got back from the NIL Summit, but 2, because I think this is something that all athletes should be doing. And I'll get into just specifics with that. But so first, if you're like, I don't even know what she's talking about, what is NIL? So NIL stands for name, image, and likeness. And basically, this was something new that came about in the NCAA the summer of 2021, which was really convenient for me because that was my summer leading up to starting college. So when I was starting college is when NIL was starting. And basically, with name, image, and likeness, it gives student athletes the ability to make money off of their name, image, and likeness. So this could be things in all kinds of different areas. It could be you posting on social media in exchange for money. It could be you getting free product from companies in exchange posting on social media or wearing their product, whatever. Or it could be you selling things with your name on it, with your picture on it, jerseys with your number and your name on it, things like that. All that stuff was not possible to do as a student athlete prior to summer of 2021. And now that it is a gigantic deal, mainly because if you think about just the amount of traction student athletes get, collegiate athletics, especially if you look in the spaces like college football, college basketball, how much attention those sports get, to think that they weren't benefiting from things like that, jerseys out there with their name and number on it, and they're getting nothing from it. It's a giant deal that now that is allowed. And I did want to talk about actually a lawsuit that just recently occurred against the NCAA regarding student athletes that were around prior to this summer 2021. And let me look this up because I want to give you guys the exact details. Okay, so this is on ropesgray.com. Don't know, but anyways, here's kind of a breakdown. This is a statement that says what we know about the settlement terms so far. So it says, the proposed settlement covers 3 of the major class action lawsuits brought against the NCAA. House vs. NCAA, Hubbard vs. NCAA, and Carter vs. NCAA. The full terms of the settlement have not yet been disclosed, but the agreement reportedly calls for member conferences and the NCAA to pay $2.77 billion to more than 14,000 former and current student athletes over 10 years beginning as early as fall 2025 as damages for lost opportunities to enter into endorsement deals and share in media revenue. The funds to cover the settlement will largely come from the Power 5 schools, yikes, as well as former NCAA reserve funds and insurance payouts. In addition, the settlement will introduce a going-forward compensation model allowing schools to share revenue with student athletes. The compensation model allows, but does not require, schools to earmark an anticipated amount of $20 to $22 million in revenue per year to share with student athletes, and schools would decide how that money is distributed amongst sports programs. The anticipated revenue terms include a 10-year escalator on the revenue sharing cap, with 4% increase in years 1 through 3 and reevaluation of the revenue sharing model in year 4. Scholarship costs for schools will be in addition to revenue sharing, and scholarship caps will be replaced with new roster size restrictions. Yikes. So that was a lot of words. Basically, to sum up all of that, the NCAA was sued by previous student athletes who didn't get to participate in these NIL deals that are making current student athletes millionaires. So much money is in NIL, especially for those high revenue sports like football and basketball. So, I mean, even just to think about the college class of 2020, how close they were to missing out on this opportunity. Thinking about how much money was lost because the school was taking money from games, jerseys that were sold with their name on it, all things like that, and they got no benefit. So I think this is crazy that they are getting that money back. I also think it's really interesting talking about current student athletes. I don't totally know all the details about that. I mean, shoot, track isn't exactly a high revenue sport, so if that does occur, I can't imagine I'm getting much, but I think that's just crazy information in general, but it really goes to show how big of a deal this NIL is. And if you aren't yet involved, take advantage of it, because there are so many athletes from history from 2020 and earlier that did not get to participate in this. And clearly it's a big enough deal that they're literally suing the NCAA. But you have the ability to partake in it now. So do it. And I'm going to tell you all the details, some tips, some things that I have done, all information NIL to help jumpstart your career in NIL. The first thing that I want to say is that anyone can build an NIL. You don't have to be a football player. You don't have to be a basketball player. I know I've been saying it. They're a high revenue sport and they get a lot of attention. Yes, but that's not a qualification requirement at all. You don't have to be in a high revenue sport. You don't have to be an elite athlete who's a national champion, won all these things, whatever. It's not about that. It's about building a social media presence, building your brand, and that looking attractive to other brands and companies and things like that so that you're able to grow your NIL. Don't think, oh, I run track, so I can't do NIL. In that case, I wouldn't be doing it. Don't think, oh, I'm a freshman, I haven't really done anything yet successful in my athletic career, so I can't do anything with NIL. Not true. It's not about athletic performance. It's about your brand, the presence you have on social media, and all things like that. So I'm telling you right now, you can build a successful NIL. It has nothing to do with those outside factors. So there's no excuses. Do it. Anyways, so with that, I've been telling you guys that I've been doing a lot with NIL. If you don't follow me on my Instagram, one, you should. at Mackenzie Sullivan. But if you don't, then you probably aren't aware of the different NIL deals I have had, because if you're a YouTube subscriber solely, I don't really post my NIL on YouTube. It's primarily on Instagram. So some of the deals that I've had so far, I have, for the past 2 years, had a deal with Insomnia Cookies. I've worked with CVS, PSD Underwear, KT Tape, Gillette Venus, Pedialyte, and most recently, Seiche, the brand by Allison Felix, which is my proudest moment to date. Was it the most... Did I get a lot of money from that deal? No. No. But I don't care. In my mind, I have an NIL deal with Allison Felix, and that's all I need to know. Anyways, so those are my credentials, I guess. I have had the privilege of working with several of these brands, and it didn't happen overnight, and there was a lot that I had to do to work towards this, but it all ended up being worth it. So for me, I didn't do really anything with NIL deals my first year of college. That was the first year that it was open for athletes to do. I didn't really know what it involved. I'm new to college in general, so this entirely new topic being introduced, I'm just like, let me just get used to being 5 hours away from home. Let me figure that out first. So I didn't really do anything specifically with NIL deals that first year, but I did start growing on social media that first year, because my freshman year of college is when I decided to create my YouTube channel. And that has been my baby, my pride and joy social media platform since then. So I would say that although I wasn't involved in NIL deals, I was creating my brand. I was building my social media. And that all led up to, I want to say, summer going into my sophomore year. So probably I waited a full year for NIL to be a thing before I got involved. And my first NIL deal was with Run Gum. Runners out there, you know Run Gum. It's a caffeinated gum that I loved in high school. Just give you a little boost of energy before running. Questionable as if that is necessarily allowed in the NCAA, because their caffeine is technically a banned substance. Just a heads up if you're new to collegiate athletics, so don't be going crazy with the coffee. But I mean, this little thing of gum, it didn't have that much caffeine in it, so it was cool. But that was my first deal, and it was awesome. They sent me a couple free packs of gum, and I still have some of them, honestly. Like, they lasted me a minute. And I, in exchange, posted a video on my Instagram and TikTok, and that was the start of my NIL journey. And it really took off from there, because I fell in love with the creation process. I was able to do all this not being a football player or a basketball player, and I'm not entirely known for my athletic performance yet. That will change, but at this moment, that's not what grew my brand. It was me building my brand on social media, posting, creating different content on different platforms, and catching the attention of brands. So, you know, it's not an overnight process. It takes quite a bit, but it's really rewarding in the end. So the process of actually going about an NIL deal, let me kind of break that down for you. It could be probably one of two ways. You reach out to a brand, or a brand reaches out to you. Let's say you reach out to a brand. This could be through DMs, this could be through emails, whatever it is. You really want to set up yourself and your brand as marketable, and you want to introduce yourself, explain why you love the company or product, all these things. Obviously tell a little bit about yourself as an athlete and why this product is so important to you as an athlete. And you also want to break down your different social media platforms, which is why it is important to try and grow on social media. You don't always have to have a bunch of followers right away, but that is something that brands do sometimes look at. So you want to include your different platforms, your followers, also just links to your socials, so that even if you don't have a lot of followers, they can click on the link, see the videos that you post on TikTok, and realize that's the kind of content that aligns with our product. So sure, we'll send it to this person. So you're going to do that, send those emails, they accept, awesome, cool. There might be some kind of contract that you have to sign, and that could have to do with how much money you're being given or what you're being given. It could have to do with the duration that you are supposed to be posting. It could be a one-time post. It could be a monthly post, all things like that. So it really is going to break down how much you have to do for them and how much they have to do for you. So read those thoroughly if you do get a contract. And once that happens, well, first of all, prior to that, you want to know your school's rules and your state's rules, and we'll get into that. But for me, my process, I will then submit the deal to compliance at the University of Pittsburgh, and once they approve it, then I'm able to post that content. Sometimes if you are doing a payment deal, it will be the case where you post all the posts and then they send you the money a little bit later. Or if it's a product deal, they'll send you the product in the mail, you'll make the post, and then you'll post it. And that's NIL. Those are two of the platforms of NIL. I also mentioned, you can sell things with your face on it, your name on it, all things like that. I haven't done anything like that just because I think in that case, you do need to be kind of a bigger brand to sell with your face and your name on it. Your family might buy it, but if you aren't that big yet, there probably isn't much money in that area of NIL for you yet. So I would definitely experiment with the free product and with the money in exchange for posts, different areas of NIL. So that is my experience, what I have done, and what you can do too. So I mentioned the Student Athlete NIL Summit that I went to a couple weeks ago wearing the sweatshirt, and I really wanted to talk a little bit about that experience just because it is related to NIL. After I do this, I'm going to get into some NIL tips, so stay tuned for those. But for the Student Athlete Summit, apparently this is, I think, the third annual summit. So, wow, yeah, I guess they've been doing it since NIL started. This is my first one ever attending, and it was awesome. It was in Atlanta, Georgia. I actually uploaded a YouTube video, just a vlog of this experience that I think I posted that like last week. So definitely go check that out if you're interested in things NIL, because that was just an awesome experience. But with that, basically what I did is Pitt was able to take a few student athletes. So it was me and 3 other athletes from Pitt, and we went down. There was a red carpet event with all kinds of different athletes there. There were NIL awards from the previous school year, and it was really cool just getting to meet all kinds of different student athletes who love content creation and have their own personal brand and all things like that. And there were athletes there at all different levels in NIL. So I didn't really feel out of place at all, because there were the people there that have made hundreds of thousands of dollars from NIL, and I'm not one of them. But it was really cool still to hear from different guest speakers. They had brands there that were presenting. We had Meta, as in Instagram and Facebook there. There was Lululemon there, Celsius, all different kinds of brands. And it was really cool. I got to listen to a bunch of different panelists from those brands, as well as student athletes that have had really successful NIL, hearing tips from them. And then there were also some brands there that we could go and talk to and get contact information and things like that. So I did a little bit of networking, which is cool. I also met up with a couple athlete mutuals from social media that I had not seen in person before, which was really fun, because that's one thing with NIL as well, and just content creation, is you can connect to so many different athletes all over the country, which is really cool because you wouldn't really have the opportunity to do that otherwise. Anyways, so that was a lot of fun. There is something that I learned while I was there that can be seen as frustrating or beneficial to some, but it was just something that I definitely noticed about the NIL space. There is a pretty wide spectrum of athletes in NIL, and I would say that falls into pretty much three main categories. You have the people like me who are just out here hustling, making content, trying to grow, and building our NIL off of that. Then you have the people that are like football players who have 2 posts on their Instagram, but because they play football at the University of Michigan, they have 100,000 followers. And for that, they're able to get these NIL deals. They don't do much with personal branding. They don't do much with social media. It's just kind of given to them because of the sport that they play and the team that they're on. Then you have the people that kind of go viral on like TikTok or something for dance videos or because they're really pretty, and that's just their brand, and no tea, no shade. It's different compared to people like me that are creating all this content and editing and all these things versus someone that's able to just go viral on TikTok for something like that. So as I'm at this NIL summit, I meet people from all those different spaces, and it was very interesting. It could be a little frustrating just because I hear the different deals someone has gotten, how many followers someone has, how much money someone has gotten, and then they explain the content that they do, or if they do any content, and it's like, dang, I work pretty hard in this space, but I will never get what you have achieved because I don't play football, I'm not on a team like that, and I can't post a dancing video on TikTok and go viral. So that was probably just a big takeaway that I got from the summit, is just seeing all the different type of creators and athletes that were there. So just know, if you are a creator like me who is not great in any of those other spaces but is building their platform, it's gonna pay off. And just enjoy the process. It's a lot easier if you're someone like me, I think, that just in general enjoys content creation. I love doing things like this and my YouTube with my vlogs and all stuff like that. So it kind of makes the NIL space pretty natural to me. So if you're like that, then definitely get involved in NIL, but that's also something that you can develop. If you aren't super passionate about content creation, don't count yourself out of NIL. Get in there. I'm telling you, anybody can do NIL. And that kind of is going to lead me into the tips that I have for NIL. One of the biggest things I think that makes people shy away from NIL is that they're just too nervous to post. Like, there's a lot of judgment that people feel comes from them starting to post more regularly on Instagram. Instagram is an intimidating platform. I'm going to be honest, I'm still intimidated by it. TikTok is just a little bit more, chill. People just post whatever on there. YouTube is definitely intimidating at first, but once you create that platform, it's kind of like people that want to watch this content follow it, and the people that don't. Whereas on Instagram, you have people from high school following you. You have all your college people following you. You have people all the way from middle school following you. You have a wide following base on your Instagram platform because that's just kind of like the general platform for people our age. And with that, it can just be kind of nerve-wracking posting something that isn't a, summer dump or whatever. It can be intimidating when you start to post more because, there's no doubt, once you start posting content different from what you usually post, people are going to notice. Everyone's going to notice and know what you're doing. And that can be really intimidating, but you have to be okay with that. You have to be okay with people thinking you're trying to be an influencer or whatever it is. Who cares? You're growing your brand. You're going to be making these deals. You're going to be making money from it. And people want to judge you for that. People want to make fun of you for that. Okay, cool. Like, who's laughing now? You don't have a brand deal with CVS. So that sucks for you, I guess. Like, you have to be confident in the stuff that you post, and you have to be okay with people looking at you as someone that's trying to be an influencer. I don't think people have the title of trying to be an influencer. You're creating content, and that's that on that. You're not trying to do anything, you're doing it. And that's cool, and that's, I think, really rewarding. So don't give in to just the pressures of, oh, I don't want to post things on my Instagram because I don't want people to judge me. Okay, like, why are you letting people you can't even see on your screen dictate the stuff that you post? And you know what? Once you start posting that content, I'm going to be real. People are going to unfollow you. They will. Because, your middle school history class worksheet partner might not want to see the brand deals that you're posting or the sport content that you're posting, and that's fine. They can unfollow you. You don't want anyone that doesn't want to see your content following you at that point. And that's going to happen once you start making that transition on your social medias. But you know what? Once they unfollow, you're going to get real people that actually want to see your content following you. So while followers are leaving, some are coming. And, that might not be that even of a ratio at first. You could lose a bunch of followers, and some are trickling in, but not at the speed you like. Don't let that, shut down your progress. Keep moving. Keep posting the stuff that you enjoy. It really you don't have to just be pushing out content. Don't push out content that you don't even like and that you're just posting to post. Don't do that. Like your content, be involved in your content, be passionate about the stuff that you're posting, because viewers can also tell. If you're just pushing out content to push out content, people can read that. But if you genuinely are enjoying the content creation process, enjoying the content that you're making, it resonates with people, and that's what makes them like the video, and that's what makes them follow you. So really, you have to be okay with people looking at you as a wannabe influencer. You need to be okay with pushing out that content, and you need to be okay with making quality content. And with that, the followers are going to come and the brand deals are going to come. As far as building your social media presence, one way to do that I've talked about is just posting a lot, posting more. In general, that's going to be a big determinant, but also things that you can do just to help get yourself out there and get discovered, along with slowly posting more, is using hashtags and tagging brands in your posts. And something that I actually learned at the NIL Summit is along with tagging brands, invite them to collaborate, because that's a cool feature that Instagram has, is the collaboration feature. And if you invite a brand to collaborate, they might not accept it, and that's cool. But if you keep doing that with different brands, maybe one will accept it. And in that situation, they'll accept your collab, and that means your post will show up on their feed with however many followers they have. And those followers will see your post, click on your page, follow you, like the post, whatever it is, and that helps you gain attention, which I thought was really cool. That's something that I took away from the summit. But along with that, especially if you're trying to grow on Instagram in specific, I will be honest, Instagram is my lowest performing social media. And part of that is because, as I expressed, I'm not totally confident with Instagram yet. I'm not. It can be an intimidating platform. My main platforms for sure are YouTube and TikTok. Right now I have 3,000 some subscribers on YouTube, which I know the number 3,000, if you're whatever, you might not think that's a big number, but on YouTube, that's a pretty good number, because it's not easy to get subscribers on YouTube as nearly as much as it is on Instagram and TikTok. But anyway, so that's my YouTube. And then on TikTok, I have 10,000 followers right now. I just hit that 10K mark, which is really exciting. But those are definitely my two main platforms. On Instagram, I'm still figuring it out. I'm still trying to get comfortable with it. But one thing that I do recommend on Instagram, if you're trying to gain attention, you need to focus on reels. Picture posts just are cool for the people that are following you, but it's not really going to reach out to anyone as often as reels. People are really pushing video content. So if you can make reels and post that on Instagram, that's going to be a heavy hitter for you in your brand growth and NIL deals. So as far as the different social media platforms, I will say TikTok is the easiest platform to grow on. So if you're already on TikTok, I mean, it just posting more, using popular sounds, using hashtags, talking about current events, whatever. TikTok, it's not super difficult to go viral on. I've had several videos get over 1 million views. And that's just, I know my audience. I have track people following me on TikTok, so I really just post track specific content. And those videos do really well. But I want to point out that TikTok is definitely the best platform to just grow on really quick. So if you want to experiment with a platform, I would recommend that one. Instagram is definitely a little bit harder, in my opinion at least. Maybe it's not. Instagram, you just have to be okay with being a little bit more vulnerable on there. And I think the biggest thing that steers people away is people being worried that you're trying to be an influencer on Instagram. Because if you're trying to do that on TikTok, people don't care as much, but I feel like people are more self-conscious about doing that with Instagram. And then you have YouTube, which is difficult. You have to be able to make long form content. You have to keep those long videos entertaining in a short video world, which is not easy. But I do think YouTube is one of the most rewarding platforms. It's my favorite platform. But yeah, it's not the easiest. Another tip that I have is when you are reaching out to brands, one, make sure you're reaching out to brands. Don't just wait for them to come to you. Get in the DMs, get in their emails, send out some messages. Just mass email a bunch of brands and maybe one will stick. You don't know. And if not, that's okay. Keep posting content, building your brand, and something's going to come along. But if you want to get an NIL deal and you don't have that many followers on Instagram yet and you aren't huge, whatever, don't go emailing like Skims and expect to get a deal from them and then get butthurt when you don't get a message back. You're messaging Kim Kardashian expecting to get a response back, and you haven't really done anything to build your brand yet. So try to aim towards something that is pretty much at your level at first. I messaged Run Gum when I was first starting out, and I think that was a pretty good equivalent to where I was at in my NIL journey. And then as I grew, I got bigger brand names that people knew of and whatever, and it just, whatever. You get these bigger deals, but don't immediately, right out of the bat, message Skims and Target and, I don't know, Hailey Bieber's brand, I don't know, whatever. Just make sure that you keep your expectations realistic at first. Message brands that you think are kind of where you're at right now in your NIL journey, and as you grow, those deals will grow. But just be mindful in the very beginning. And with that, about just being mindful, you shouldn't be expecting large payouts of money when you're first getting started as well. Take those smaller deals that are just gifted product and post those on your socials just to get comfortable with an exchange and what NIL looks like, and also building your content with those deals that you get. Like free product is good. Like that's cool. I've gotten free Alice and Felix shoes, free Gillette Venus products, free product is cool. You don't need to be given a product and to post about and also expect to be given $1,000 with that as well. It's not realistic. And you can't overshoot yourself at the very beginning. As you grow, of course, you can also expect money. But at the beginning, I think it's important to just be okay with those product deals instead of money deals, because you're just getting started, you're building your platform, you're building your NIL, and because of that, you need to kind of meet your situation where it's at. Next thing I want to talk about are kind of the rules of NIL. There are rules. You can't just do whatever you want. You need to pay attention to that. And there are rules that are from just the NCAA. There are rules that differ based off the state that you live in, and there are rules that differ based off the school you attend. So you have to research all those different rules about where you live and what school you go to, because the rules differ from place to place, which is frustrating, but it is what it is. Some general rules for NIL, it has to be some sort of exchange. You can't be given free stuff just because you're an athlete and that's that. You need to give them something in return, otherwise that's like a NIL violation. So a brand can't just be like, here, you're a really good athlete, here's this product, and you do nothing. You have to give them something. That could just be a story post on Instagram, whatever it is, but it has to be an exchange. I know other rules are you can't work with a company that's like adult content or, drugs, alcohol. It has to be respectable content. Also, you just have to be mindful of foods and maybe substances, like if you're looking at protein powders or things like that, but it has to be like approved. Like I know it's really weird because Celsius was at this NIL event, but I know at Pitt you can't partner with Celsius. Like it's this, whatever Celsius contains, like isn't really an approved substance, and that causes complications. But yeah, so that's something to be mindful of. I've had several deals like with Run Gum, I've had one with iHerb, Beekeepers Naturals, things like that have red flags have gone up in Pitt compliance, and then I talk to them and I show them the products that I'm getting and they're like, okay, you're good. But there can be issues with you partnering with the brand and their products not really passing like an NCAA drug test or whatever. So that's something to be mindful of if you are working with any brand that produces something that you consume. I want to touch on some rules that I know are specific to Pennsylvania and the University of Pittsburgh. Deal, I'm pretty sure, is pretty universal, but I have seen some people that don't follow this rule, so maybe it's not the same at every school. But we cannot have a Pitt logo anywhere in an NIL deal that we post. So if I'm like sponsored by KT Tape and I want to make a video of me wearing the KT Tape at practice, I can't be wearing a Pitt shirt at practice in that same video and post it, because then it gives off the impression to your viewers that the University of Pittsburgh is also endorsing this product, and that's not the case. It's you as a person that is promoting this, not your school. So that's why it's pretty big that you can't, and you'll see that with people that are like really big in NIL and they're making like commercials with these brands and all this stuff, and they're wearing their uniform, but the uniform only has the colors on it and not the logo. That's a pretty like key detail. You're allowed to post your school colors, but just the logo can't be involved and the name can't be involved, things like that. So be mindful of that. If you're posting any content, don't be wearing your registered team gear, because that's a big no-no. And then another thing is reporting your deals to compliance at your school. For Pitt, it used to be that you had to let them know a week in advance before you posted about the deal that the deal was happening. And so I'd go in, report it. Once it was approved, I would go ahead and post it. They changed that this year to you just have to let them know. As in, I could make the post that day and then also just go in and be like, hey, like, I just posted this post, here's the information. And then they're like, okay, you're good. I don't know what that rule looks like in different schools, but that's something that you just want to be mindful of. Ask the people that are in your compliance at your school what the rules are. They'll explain to you things that are specific to the school, to the state, all things like that. Another tip is that once you start making a good amount of NIL money, you're as an American citizen have to pay taxes, unfortunately. I can't really explain that process very much. I don't know much about taxes. Just know once you're like, hey, I've kind of been making a good amount of money, you should probably reach out to someone and figure out how to do taxes. I can't help you with that. Another heads up that I just want to give is once you start building a brand and you have this promotional content up on your page, brands are going to see that, and there's going to be good brands that see it, and there's going to be sketchy brands that see that. And you're just going to get a flood of emails and DMs from all these people, and you could be thinking, oh, this is awesome. Like, I'm getting these messages from brands that want to work with me. Make sure they're legitimate. I've gotten a few scams. After I worked with PSD Underwear, I got another email from a different PSD Underwear email telling me that I would get $300 and a bunch of free PSD underwear gear if I sent them $70 for shipping. What do I look like to you? Like, anyways, that to say that there are people scamming out there, so be mindful of scams, and then also know that you don't have to take every NIL deal that comes your way. If it's a random deal that like isn't that much involved for you, you don't have to take it. If it's for a brand or product that doesn't really align with the content that you post or your brand, you don't have to take it. Like, you can and should be selective in your NIL deals. Know what you're worth, know what your content is and your audience is, and what would make sense to promote on your channel, on your social media, whatever it is. And, be picky, be an advocate for yourself. And yeah, so I think that's important. It's just like not taking every NIL deal that comes your way, and also making sure deals are legitimate, because unfortunately there are crazy people out there. Really, I want to encourage all of you to have fun with NIL. As I mentioned, this is something relatively new that so many athletes missed out on, and it was that big of a deal that it was worth suing the NCAA for billions of dollars. That's how big of a deal NIL is, and you have the opportunity to participate in it. So don't miss out on it because you think, oh, I'm not big enough. Oh, I'm not part of this sport. It won't really grow that much. Don't think any of that. You're a collegiate athlete. You already have half the platform for you. Being a college athlete is a big deal, and you need to give yourself more credit. And people like seeing days in the life of college athletes. People like seeing the products that athletes use. Like, you won't know if you can build a platform if you don't give yourself a chance. So you might as well try. And if you want to try on TikTok first, because there's a little less shame in that, do it. Do it. Grow your TikTok. Start NIL on TikTok. You don't have to use Instagram. I would recommend it, because that's where 90% of my deals go, even though I only have 2,000 followers on Instagram. I don't have a lot of followers on Instagram, guys, for real. But I still am one of the leading athletes in NIL at the University of Pittsburgh. And that's because I'm creating the content, I'm putting myself out there, and I'm communicating with brands. And I'm also growing my platform on different social medias that bring people to my Instagram, that draw in brands and all things like that. So don't count yourself out, and just enjoy the process. Have fun talking with brands. Have fun creating your brand and content. And, any deal is exciting. Like I said, don't just grab any little deal. But at the very beginning, shoot. Take the free stuff and post on your Instagram story. It's not that hard. It's fun. Do it. This is a pretty unique opportunity that we have been given. And, with NIL, I have been able to grow my social media platforms, especially on TikTok and YouTube. And by doing this, you're really setting yourself up well for after college athletics. Building connections with different people, with different brands, learning how to make all this different kind of content. Do you understand the amount of experience you are giving yourself by participating in this? Not only are you networking, but you're also learning several new skills. This is a really cool opportunity that I would encourage everyone to jump on. Unless you don't want money or free stuff, that's cool. Literally said no one. Do it. I'm sorry, I'm getting aggressive, but it's just don't go through all 4 years of your college experience not having tried NIL yet. Don't do it. What a waste. Do you hear how outraged these athletes are that missed out on NIL? They literally won a lawsuit against the NCAA. So just give it a chance. Post a couple extra pictures on your Instagram at first. Test the waters, dip your toe in, and have some fun with it. Who cares what people think? You know what? Comment your Instagram below and let me know that you are going to start posting more, and I'll go follow you and I'll go comment on your posts. I will support you because this is a big deal and this is fun, and I support your brand, and there will be other people that support your brand that might not be the people that have been following you since middle school, okay? It won't. But that's okay. You don't want people that don't enjoy your content following you. You don't want those kind of followers. Who cares? I wouldn't care if anyone that I was just acquaintances with throughout high school, middle school, elementary school unfollowed me. Bye. That's cool. I don't care, because I'm going to be gaining people that actually care about the content I'm making, people that care about track and field, people that care about me, all these things that at the end of the day are so much more important in growing your brand. And NIL deals. So if that hasn't convinced you to start NIL and building your brand, I don't know what will. But I'm serious. If you want, let's use this space to help each other grow. Everyone comment your Instagram or TikTok below, and so people can start following you that watch this video and subscribe to me on YouTube and Athlete to Athlete and everything. Put yourself out there. There you go. That's the first step. Comment your Instagram, comment your TikTok, and already however many people view this, if they're a real one, we'll scroll down to the comments and follow everyone and help each other grow their brand. I want that for you. We want that for you. So let's all be athletes supporting athletes and encourage each other to grow their brand and follow one another. Also, how cool is that? You just get to know other student athletes. Bam. I just helped you make friends as well. I'm doing a lot of good here, guys. Make sure you are patient with this. Enjoy the journey. Don't get discouraged if you don't grow super fast. That's not how it works. You might have a video that blows up overnight. You might not. Even if it does blow up overnight, you might not get a bunch of followers from that. It's a gradual process. It's a learning curve. And you just need to roll with the punches and learn and grow and post and post and post. And hopefully things will end up working out really well. And you know what? At the end of the day, I'm proud of you for trying, and I'm proud of you for putting yourself out there, being vulnerable to the middle school bullies once again, and posting things. You know how many people talked about me when I first started a YouTube channel? I told you guys at the beginning of this that I started my YouTube channel freshman year of college. Nuh-uh. Not true. I made several attempts at starting a YouTube channel all the way back when I was in 6th grade. I made videos on my GoPro and I told like a couple of my friends, and then in high school I gave it another go and I tried to make little vlogs with soccer teammates, and I had people that made fun of me and it sucked and I was really insecure about it. And then, at the end of my sophomore year of high school, I was like, okay, not doing that, and I put it away for years until I got into college and I realized it's not that deep. And I knew NIL was a thing. And I was like, you know what? I want to create a platform. And I love YouTube. And I love editing and creating videos. And I was surrounded by an amazing support system of new friends in college that were so supportive. And it was such a refreshing energy to have all these people that were excited about my YouTube channel, that wanted to be in it, that watched the content and texted me after I uploaded it saying, hey, this video is really good. That made my heart feel so good. And so I'm telling you this because if you first start posting things and you don't get good feedback and people make fun of you, that's life. People are miserable and people are out there not going after their dreams and their goals. And so what can they do other than shit on you for going after your own goals? They got nothing they're going after, so they have to just knock you down a couple pegs while you're trying to get after yours. Don't let them. I didn't. This literally, gosh, it took me 8 years since the first year that I uploaded YouTube videos to actually really go after it. It took me 8 years to gain that kind of confidence and a whole new change in environment. It took me from being a little middle schooler in Michigan to being a collegiate athlete, freshman in college at the University of Pittsburgh, 5 hours away from home, for me to finally get the confidence to post about this. The difference is, now we have NIL, and more people are doing this, so it's less awkward for you. And I just encourage you to go after it and find a support system of people that will be supporting you. If you're posting and making an effort and your friends are telling you that it's corny and this is dumb and all this stuff, I'm going to tell you right now they suck. Like, to not be supporting you is just, that's not a good friend. It's not. Me and my friends / teammates here at Pitt, we're athletes, yeah, but we also have so many different hobbies, and those are equally as important to our identity as being an athlete is. I have best friend Kalia, who is jumpstarting a modeling page on her Instagram. Go follow at Kalia Johnson. And Jazz, who has a photography page at Jasmine Potts Photography. Or maybe it's at Jazz Potts Photography. The point is, look up Jasmine Potts and you'll find it. My twins, Fala and Helloooo, who have created a D1 Foodies cooking page on Instagram because they love to cook and bake, and they review places all around Pittsburgh and also make their own food and share that with people. I am so proud of my friends and of you guys for going after it and just creating an identity that can be for NIL, but that can also just be being free in what you post. Like, that's so refreshing. All of the people I mentioned, they have a separate Instagram account for those things that they are passionate about, so that they don't feel insecure when they're posting about these things, because the people that follow those pages are the ones that actually want to see it. And that's so nice. Imagine if you just did that with your real account. That's an option. You can do that. You don't have to create a separate page. You can. But if you just want to post what you want to post on your regular Instagram, go for it. At the end of the day, I'm really hoping that I'm getting across that you can post whatever you want. You can do whatever you want, whether that it aligns with being an athlete or it's a different part of who you are. And make the post. Make the jump. Don't worry what people are going to think, and surround yourself with people who are going after their own goals and dreams and are going to help you support yours. Because that's really important in life in general, not just with NIL. Oh gosh, I got pretty heated there at the end, but I hope that resonated, and I hope that gave you guys some motivation to go after NIL, but also just like making content and doing what you enjoy and sharing that with people, because I think that's really important. Yikes. Okay, well, that is all that I have to share with you guys. If you enjoyed this video, make sure you subscribe, follow on whatever you're watching/listening to. Also, make sure that you follow at Athlete to Athlete Podcast on Instagram, also at Mackenzie Sullivan on Instagram. And like I said, make sure you comment your socials in the comment section below this. You can also comment on Athlete to Athlete, whatever it is, and let's support each other, because that's what friends do. And we're friends. So, anyways, I will see you guys in 2 weeks. I know, it's going to be a while, but it'll be worth it, I promise. We got some good videos coming up. So, I will see you guys later. And in the meantime, subscribe to my YouTube if you aren't already, because that does have weekly videos. So, okay, that's it. Bye guys, love you.